everywhere, especially as those wind gusts really pick up near hurricane force, in addition to a lot more ponding of water sitting in a lot of driveways, roadways. I mean, water is just everywhere, folks, and it's going to add up quickly. And then the thing about it is that flood water isn't going anywhere anytime soon. If your flood area does recede a little bit sooner than others, you're going to be one of the lucky ones. We're talking about seeing these flooding conditions for at least a day or two, maybe possibly more after the storm is over. Ginger and Matt?
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like a lot of people are going to have infinity pools courtesy of Hurricane Ian, because that is, we've seen a lot of that tonight. Samara, thank you.
Okay, so that soil has just been marinating in rainwater, and it's getting pelted with more, and now the heavier winds are coming along, and we are seeing trees starting to topple over. We heard about one in Orange County. Treasurer Roberts is there reporting on it for us.
The wind and the rain is really picking up here. I'm right off of Grand Lac Avenue. You can see that the wind is so strong that it has broken this tree limb here. It's fallen over into someone's driveway, nearly hitting their garage. It looks like part of the tree is on top of the garage. Lots of branches and leaves here. So this is some damage that maybe this family knows about now or may see in the morning. This is just to show you the progression of this storm. Here in Orange County, or just in this area, it wasn't this windy and this rainy maybe about an hour ago, but now I can hardly hear myself. That's how loud it is out here. So we're going to continue to monitor the area and other areas around Orange County, and hopefully someone can help this family maybe tomorrow or in the next couple of days. It doesn't seem like from here, although it is dark though, it doesn't seem that there is a tremendous amount of damage to their home. It seems like the tree has just fallen straight on the top of it. I don't see any type of hole on the top of the roof. I do see maybe some shingles on the top of the garage may have fallen off, or just the side of it looks like it has fallen off here. There's a better look at that. And this is a pretty huge tree. We're going to make sure to stay safe and actually back away from this tree soon, because it seems that it is unstable right now if this huge part of the tree could just fall over like that. And we're going to send it back to you guys.
All right, Treasurer Roberts out there for us. I don't know about you, but I'm dying to know what's going on in Bradenton.
Oh, yeah,
after what we saw
the last time we saw News 6 anchor Eric Von Anken out there, he just brought us the heartbreaking story of John, who had put his life savings into a boat. And so we want to check in with Eric now and see how conditions are out on the streets. Eric, how's it going out there?
Ginger, Matt, really good news, actually. I feel like we are getting results here in the middle of a hurricane in downtown Bradenton. So remember John, right? About an hour ago, he was the gentleman. Yeah, here he is. So a few things have happened since, just to bring you up to speed if you weren't with us an hour ago when we first met him. So again, this is the Manatee River. This connects to the intercoastal. This is a river. Despite the waves that are crashing over the seawall, this is a river. And this is not the Gulf, but still the power of the wind here. It's not really the storm surge. It's not that the water has come up. It's the wind smashing these waves into the seawall. So John had his boat moored out here in the Manatee River. He actually was telling me the story that he got an extra heavy-duty anchor that he said was supposed to hold this boat. This is not a small boat. I mean, you know, we're talking 30 feet or so. It's got a cabin. He was living on board this boat. And he saw it get loose from the mooring, and then it ended up against the river walk here. So this is a walkway, really, that kind of goes around the city of Bradenton. He came out, he tied it up, but what happened is on that side there were vents, he was explaining, and so because the waves and the wind was and the rain was coming in this way, it flooded the boat, and it made the boat start to list, you see, over to the right side. So when he came out, he realized this was kind of a lost cause. He started to pull his stuff out, and his generator inside was dying. So not only did it stop pumping out water, which it is now doing, the boat was leaning over, the water was filling up, and then the generator internally stopped. So he couldn't put any more water out, so he just gave up. So when we saw him an hour ago, I mean, you know, poor guy. He said he'd moved down here from Michigan. His life was on this boat. He'd been working on it, living on it, trying to restore it. He'd poured tens of thousands of dollars into it. Well, since then, he had this generator that was up on the front, right on the bow there, and it was... Took the chain off, the generator would slide into the water. So he unlocked it. We lifted it over, put the generator here. We had a few gallons of gas left over because, of course, you know, we planned for this, worried about our generator running out of gas. Gave him a couple gallons of gas, and he has now connected this generator to the pump on board that was running off the internal generator. The other thing is,
hey, Eric,
he was able to get his van down.
Hey, Eric, I don't know if you can hear me.
Matt,
I want to get right back to you.
Yep.
We just got the 11 o'clock update, and we got to get that out as soon as Tom's done.
Yeah, please.
I want the update.
Pick up
Stay
the story.
there.
Yeah, it's a
Don't go
cliffhanger
anywhere.
right there.
Yes.
Okay, so
Thank you
Chief
so much.
Meteorologist Tom Sorrells joins us now, and you just got the 11 o'clock track. Let's hear it.
All right, take a look at what's going on. Maximum sustained wind down to 90 miles per hour. Boom, it's a Category 1 storm. It's really having a hard time. It's slowing down. That's all good. By slowing down, I don't mean the forward progress. That's been maintained, we believe, at north-northeast at 8 miles per hour, but it has lost a lot of its punch. Winds are down to 90 miles per hour. Now, I remind you, I hearken you, I make you understand 90 miles per hour is to be celebrated versus 155. 90 mile per hour sustained wind still rips the daylights out of everything. That's what Charlie had when it arrived at OIA back in 2004. It ripped the daylights out of the trail that it took. So this thing is still ripping the daylights out of stuff down there. We don't have many surface observations in that zone, and the eye of the storm system is really not visible on the satellite or the radar at all. Here's the latest track of movement from the Hurricane Center. Again, pressure's down to 972 millibars. Wind is holding in there at 90 miles per hour. It's going to cross through Yeehaw Junction out the east side now of Orange County is the way we believe it's going to go toward you there at the Cape and then get offshore. Because it's being kicked in the backside by that stationary front, it may tighten up a little bit and maintain some of that integrity or increase its wind speed over the open water. And then when it gets to the open water, it may, you know, gobble up some more moisture, some more heat there as well. But we're thinking it'll be right here to the east of Orlando at 8 a.m. Thursday and all the way up to here by about 8 p.m. on Thursday. So there's the latest information that we have, and this is the way we think it's going to go during the overnight. No real big push anywhere except north during the day tomorrow. It's going to take a large part of the day tomorrow to clear out, but as we go into tomorrow evening, things will rapidly improve. So there's your latest update. Standing by now is meteorologist Candace Campos. Hey, Candace.
Who would have thought we'd be excited for a Cat 1 hurricane?
I know, it's crazy, but it's still super dangerous. I don't mean to downplay that or say it's not doing damage.
Right.
I know that it is. I know it's knocking power out, but to get those wind speeds down to Cat 1 status is a step in the right direction.
Right.
We're not out of the woods. People are getting stomped by 90 mile per hour winds. I do understand.
Absolutely. And when you compare it to what it was a few hours ago at landfall.
Correct. Versus 155, this is a blessing.
Right. We'll take whatever we can get at
Downgrade
this point.
we can get,
Yeah. So this is Ian at landfall. This is the quick snapshot at 3:05 this afternoon as it made its way onshore at Cayo Costa, Florida. That's just north of Fort Myers. There's a little island there. As a Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. Thankfully, again, it has weakened a bit, but that also comes with other threats. This time it's for us here in Central Florida, as we are really starting to see the arrival time of some of the strongest winds now approaching our far southwestern zone. So we're talking Osceola County, Polk County. This is going to be the next few rocking couple hours that you're going to be expecting. So let's stop the clock here at Thursday at midnight. So this is about an hour away. You can see everywhere here highlighted in that darker orange means sustained winds of at least 74 miles per hour. That means Hurricane 1 strength between about 74, about 90 miles per hour. Everywhere in the darker orange here showing about 58, about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And that also includes now a big portion of our southern zones, basically from Metro Orlando down through Osceola, Brevard, Southern Lake and Sumter County by about that midnight hour. There's a lot of people who might be watching us in Volusia County. By the way, your guys are already getting rocked with sustained winds of 40, 45 miles per hour, but then the real strong stuff starts to move in. The latest, this is as of the 11 o'clock advisory, which is why I'm just showing you that you can see this is still showing there will be a portion of Osceola County that could be really concentrated with those strong winds of possibly 90 miles per hour by about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then as we continue that clock, it looks like we possibly could get it down to a tropical storm by about 8 in the morning tomorrow. Big portion of our area still dealing with winds of upwards about 60 miles per hour. And that is now starting to move into Flagler County, parts of Marion County, as it finally starts to exit out into the Atlantic, which will be more concern for the eastern seaboard throughout the weekend. So again, it is going to take some time between about 11 o'clock tonight or midnight tonight into at least 9 o'clock Thursday night. So it's going to be a rough go, especially throughout the overnight hours and into about daybreak tomorrow. So even though we talk about it downgrading to a Category 1 storm, it still comes with a threat for tornadoes and flooding that will be certainly in the mix throughout the next few hours through Volusia County, Seminole County, Orange, Osceola, and Brevard County until 5 a.m. We do have that tornado watch in effect. And of course, if there are any warnings as well, we will be bringing them straight to you. Flood watches and warnings also across the board here. 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday, we will still have that flood watch, as it will take some time for a lot of that water to start receding, kind of absorbing into the ground. But speaking of water on the ground, this section here highlighted in that bright neon green, the National Hurricane Center has been showing kind of a surge of moisture, a big slug of moisture moving in north of where the center of Ian will be, and that is why they're highlighting it here in green, as that will certainly be a possibility of some really intense rain and intense flooding, because these are some of the rain totals already from Hurricane Ian. And of course, it's technically not even here yet. The center isn't. So Cape Canaveral almost 5 inches, but the most significant rainfall report we've seen is at Kennedy Space Center at about 8.85 inches. Thankfully, they rolled back Artemis, right? We are going to be pinpointing more county by county, hour by hour, all the details you need throughout the overnight hours coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm not sure Artemis floats, but we might have.
No, that would not be a good science experiment.
All right, Candace Campos,
Thank you,
so
Candace.
much.
Okay, so the last time we checked in with Eric Von Anken in Bradenton, he left us with a cliffhanger. He was talking about this gentleman named John who had come upon some really bad luck. So Eric, can you pick up your story from where you left off?
Yeah, of course, Ginger and Matt. And by the way, I'm glad you guys interrupted me, because obviously focus is everybody in Central Florida. I know everybody's counting on us right now. This is what we do. This is the time that you need. I tell you, my wife and my kids are home right now watching us. This information is so important. So anytime, yeah, just interrupt me. I'm just telling the story of what we're seeing out here on Gulf Coast of Florida, right around downtown Bradenton. This is the Riverwalk, and what I was trying to say before is, so this is John's boat. And when we first encountered John about an hour ago, things were not good for him. He just discovered that his boat broke free from the mooring and ended up here against the seawall. And you see the boat, it's listing. And so he was feeling like all is lost. His generator had just cut out. His bilge pump just stopped. So what I was saying is we put some gas in his generator. We put a couple gallons in, and then we were able to plug his pump that had plugged into his internal generator to at least keep water pumping out. It was a bit of a struggle because he had locked down the generator on the bow of the boat. One, so it didn't slide into the water, and two, so nobody could take it. But we had to get that off the front of the boat and bring it back here so we could plug it in and also fill it up. And the other thing is he was able to get his van here, so now we helped him with a few loads of stuff. Now he can finally unload the rest of the stuff onto his van. But here's a bright spot, if there's any, tonight in this situation for this gentleman. Like I was saying, he poured 3 years of his life into this boat, restoring it. Now he feels that if this pump continues to run all night long and pumps out some of the water, because what he didn't realize is the vents on the side were taking on the water. He had a window actually open. He just found that and he shut the window. So he feels if he pumps all night long, he might be able to get the boat to come back up. Is it salvageable? He was explaining to me what has to go into it. He was talking about how he tore it apart 3 years ago, and now he's saying everything's filled with salt water. So it's going to take some serious work. But my point is there is hope tonight for this gentleman, because at least he's getting some of the water out, and at least he feels that the boat isn't going to roll over. That was his biggest fear. But this also is, plays into the bigger picture here. So we were talking about this too about an hour ago, that it's boats all up and down the west coast of Florida, all up and down the Gulf Coast, and it's houses. And so this back here, it's not storm surge. So remember we were talking that projections were that they were supposed to get anywhere from 12 to 16 feet of storm surge. That didn't happen north where the hurricane made landfall, about, like I said, 58, 60 miles south of where we are, right around the Fort Myers area. So the storm surge never appeared here. This is just a lot of wind and a lot of waves banging into the seawall and crashing over. But we really haven't seen widespread flooding here in Bradenton. Once you start to go a little bit south in Sarasota County and then Lee County and Collier County where Fort Myers is, that's where the real flooding is, and especially out on the barrier islands. And to be fair, we have not been out on the barrier islands here in Bradenton, but if this is any indication, certainly some of the islands and some of those low-lying houses there are underwater. Again, to be clear, this is not ocean water. This is not the Gulf at all. This is a river that is, you know, I don't know, maybe a half mile across or so, that goes down to the intercoastal. It's not even the intercoastal, but that is the power of this hurricane that still is we've now been at it for 24 hours, Ginger Matt, and we're still near, probably under hurricane force winds, but it's not easing up yet.
I am stunned that the conditions have held in that area for as long as we have been coming to Eric Von Aken for so long today.
It's not easing up. It doesn't look like it. And I'm just so happy that he is trying to get results for John out there, and said that there is some hope tonight. And our hope is that that hope floats, and John and his boat is saved. So thank you, Eric, for the help
That was
out
good.
there.
That was on the spot right there. Sure. That's impressive. Eric, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we appreciate that story. But seeing those visuals behind him, the water of a river churning up like that.
Sea.
It reminds me, it was the shocking the first time I saw Lake Monroe up in Seminole County. What happens to it when a hurricane comes around? You just see those waves start crashing as if they're the ocean. So,
Eric, thank you. And thanks to Jeff, too, because people are concerned about Jeff Seegers. We're like, don't worry about Jeff.
If you ever met Jeff Seegers,
he's fine.
He's doing well. There's a lot of experience out there with those two, and they're always very careful.
Yeah.
So let's bring it. Okay, so that is one side of the coast of Florida. Okay, that's Bradenton Beach. Let's go to the complete other side, Daytona Beach. That's where we can find Brian Didlake, who's getting a whole different set of elements thrown his way.
Yeah, a whole different set of elements indeed. It's actually had a bit of a lightning effect earlier. So that wind that we saw earlier, where I was out in the middle near Grandview Hotel, where I could barely even breathe while talking to you, that has since died down to a more of a light breeze from what we're seeing so far compared to what I've experienced so far. So since I've been out here, we're actually at Fairview Avenue, more inland, just to see what's happening towards the inside of Daytona versus the beach. And if we go ahead and look over here, we see some flooding in the low-lying areas. Now, mind you, we are expecting between 15 to 20 inches of rain to impact this area, and in some other places we're expecting 30 inches. So these low-lying areas are going to be something that people need to avoid. We have some people, as you can see right now, who are trying to attempt to go around the flooding areas as he's going on the wrong side of the street. So let's make sure that he gets out there safely. Yep, he cleared it, so we're good to go. But nonetheless, we want to make sure that everyone is still staying indoors. Again, that 8 o'clock curfew is still in effect. So if you do not need to be out here, if you are not a professional that needs to be out here, please stay inside. And even since then, the wind's starting to pick back up. If you can still hear me back at the desk, the wind is starting to pick up here. Those gusts that we saw towards the interior, the exterior of Daytona Beach towards the beach side is starting to pick back up and come back over here to where we're seeing this flooding area. And I also wanted to mention that we are seeing the sandbags actually work here. So if you can see, Will, if we can point towards this truck that has the hitch in the back, that area has sandbags that you can't see behind it. But when we were coming and just surveying the area, the water is now up to that sidewalk, over the sidewalk now. But again, the sandbags have been keeping the water outside of the building, which is what they were intended to do for, intended to be used for. So again, we're going to keep monitoring this area as well as other places across Daytona Beach and even Ormond Beach, as we're going to be heading that way soon, just to make sure that we are covering this entire area so far. But for now, we are in Daytona Beach. Brian Ditlake getting results, News 6.
Yeah, Brian, I know it was behind you, but then we said, there's a curfew there, and we saw the police car go by. They're making sure that everybody abides by that curfew. But I noticed that the wind, it seemed to have died down a little bit, but then there's a shot of a stoplight that looks like it is really getting whipped around a bit out there. Are you seeing any debris in that water?
Yes, there is items all throughout the water that we had been seeing, from trash to different parts of trees, but nothing of a serious nature just yet, because this is again a little bit calmer from what we were seeing in the 9 and 8 o'clock hours. So although the wind does seem to be picking up a little bit at this time, it's not what we saw earlier.
Sure,
at all. So it is a lot more calmer than what we saw earlier.
And Brian, we saw that police officer driving through that pretty deep water. What do you think, if you had to guess how deep it is? At least a foot, maybe 2?
At least 2 to 3 feet. If I were to venture out, which I am not going to because we are staying safe here at News 6, it's about 2 to 3 feet. We're actually on a small incline hill out here, so we are a bit above where that water is being at. So it's about 2 to 3 feet from what I can estimate.
Yeah, definitely not something you want to mess with and drive through, and they tell you don't do that at all. Brian Ditlake reporting live for us in Daytona Beach. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, we've had our fill of water rescues from all those Naples incidents.
Yeah, that's
the fire
for sure.
crews have been busy out there. Let's get you over to our chief meteorologist, Tom Sorrells.
All right, here we go. We'll take it away here and show you Hurricane Ian right now. If you missed the report right at the top of the 11 o'clock hour, it's down to a Category 1 storm now with wind speeds of 90 miles per hour. As Ginger said earlier, never thought we'd be celebrating a 90 mile per hour report. But compared to 155, this is great. Gusting now to 115. That's more like it. The whole time they've been saying gusting to 180, and I couldn't find anything nearly that strong. That was so scary. Wind speeds of 90 to 115 are still just awfully damaging. Crazy. I'm sure all kinds of trees are coming down in this zone where the high wind is being reported, all the way down to southern Osceola County, down to around Sebring. They've jogged this path a little farther on over to the east, which means it's going to pull away from western Orange County, which is a good thing for the folks who live there. Pressure's down to up, growing to 972 millibars, which is great. That's exactly what you want to happen. Live weather radar right now, all kinds of rain still coming down, and all kinds of showers still moving onshore with this feeder band. See the way it's wrapping around and coming in? Wrapping around and coming in. All of that activity easily could produce a tornado warning at any time. We've had several through the day today. We just wrapped one up at about 10:30 or 10:40. About an hour ago, we were in a tornado warning, so since then we have not. But you look at this radar imagery and you try to find the eye, and you just simply can't. There's not a lot of convection on the bottom side of it. You saw Eric Von Anken way over here in Bradenton. Not a lot of rain left, just a lot of high winds still blowing around on him, or at least that's the way it looks on radar right now. Let's go to the Tampa Bay radar. See how, yeah, not a lot of crazy rain, just light rain, but the wind is still pretty wicked with the storm that far south, and it's kind of losing its mojo to me. It looks like to me it's kind of beaten up, and maybe some drier air is circulating in on the backside of it. Bottom line here is that we're still watching it. Still very important, still very dangerous. Here's Daytona Beach at news time, 74 degrees. Sustained wind in Daytona Beach is right there. Tropical storm status, sustained wind of 39 miles per hour. Here's the interior, Orlando, on the Orlando Health camera. Wind speeds are a little lower, away from all that feeder band activity. Winds are coming in from the north-northeast at 31, 72 degrees in the wind right now where you live. 31 Orlando, 31 Leesburg, 39 in Daytona Beach, 41 Cocoa Beach. There you go. That's a tropical storm, sustained wind. That's not a gust, because the gust and most spots are a little higher. Now, we don't have gusts being recorded or reported in some spots like Lakeland. That failed earlier. The Villages is not reporting for me either. But the wind gust in Daytona Beach in the last hour is 49, 45 in Melbourne, and 51 right there in Cocoa Beach. They tell me that we have someone to talk to on Talk to Tom. Let's go to Nancy in Mount Dora. Nancy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Tom.
Hi, how are you, Nancy? What's going on in Mount Dora? You doing okay?
Yeah, we're fine here. It's hardly raining, a little gust of wind here and there. But first of all, I'd like to thank you and all your meteorologists and the staff there for taking all this time and hard work for you guys.
Oh, thank you. They're killing it, aren't they? Candace and Samara and Troy. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
I got a great team hanging with me tonight. I really do.
Definitely, you do.
Thank you. So tell me about what's your question for Mount Dora?
Well, we were just wondering what's going on with the weather here because actually, Tom, nothing's really happening here. We get a few gusts of wind and it's really not raining. It's off and on.
Okay, I've got some rain about to come. Can you see the screen? Do you still have power?
Yes, we do.
Okay, you hadn't had wind enough to knock you out. I know that sometimes when it starts going this way, sometimes the grids do get shut down or the power will fail somewhere else, which will trip yours and shut yours down. For now, you've got rain coming down right now outside of Mount Dora. I'll go to the velocity and talk about the wind in there too. Okay, aloft, you've got some pretty decent wind. Looks like maybe 47-mile-per-hour wind aloft. So right now you're doing okay with that. That's still pretty strong wind coming aloft. The rain is not super heavy on top of you, so much of that's not being dragged down to the surface, but that's some pretty decent wind you have echoing through there. Zellwood's got some big rain going on. Got to take that off to make this thing work. Zellwood has some pretty heavy rain, and all of this is kind of bowing your way. And to see the way it's coming, if you can look at Winter Springs, all this is coming this way. Now, are you ever going to get the super duper high wind? I think maybe your highest wind will occur for you sometime between maybe midnight and 3 a.m. as this thing tracks its way farther to the east. I don't know if you saw the track at 11 o'clock. I can go to it and show it to you again. Now they've got the center of this thing going this way, and it doesn't really have a perfectly defined center. I'm not sure how they're going to find it because I'm looking at it on radar. If you can see radar right now, it's lost its center. I can't find it on radar or on satellite either because it's kind of shielded over with the rain the eye kind of collapsed. I wouldn't say that it's swirling, to be sure, but I just don't know where the exact center is going to go. They're modeling it to go a little farther out to the east. Now, if that happens, we're going to have to bang through a few things here to get to it. I'll show you what's going on. Temperature reading 72 again. And wind speed we talked about earlier, 31 in Orlando, 39 Daytona Beach, but 40 down in the Brevard County zone down there in Melbourne. Here's the live weather radar for the moment. Let's put that into motion, get rid of that, and put the track up for you. Here we go. Watch this track. See, instead of coming up right through the heart of Orlando, it's going to go well east now, closer to Palm Bay, closer to Brevard County. And they've got this thing progged or set to go out to the open water. So with tropical storm force winds out about 100 miles from the center, how far away is this side of Melbourne from way over here in Mount Dora? Probably not 100 miles, but you know what? It's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's way over there, right? So we're talking about a situation where you're going to end up not getting some of that higher wind that we had thought you guys might get there in Mount Dora. So my guess is you're probably, you're going to do okay. That's not to say you won't get some damage or some canopy damage as the night wears on. Let me put Melbourne's radar back on here. So we have the radar that shows us that stuff rolling in from the east rather than from the west. I want to make sure that we don't miss something coming in. Melbourne radar. Okay, you got us. No, don't leave me yet. I want to see how far that is. We were just talking about the area from Mount Dora. This has stopped working. Stopped working. Making me angry. There we go. Melbourne radar. Okay, here we go. Going back to Mount Dora to show you the rain that's coming in. Did it catch up to you yet? Do you have heavier rain as you're talking to me or not?
No, we hardly have that. It's not bad here at all. Once in a while, we'll get a few gusts of wind, but that's why we were wondering what was going on with Mount Dora. Nobody's even mentioned Mount Dora all day.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love Mount Dora. It's one of my favorite places. I love the art festival. It's one of the biggest things that I went to the first year I lived here. We love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I think some heavier rain will still come through there. I don't think you're going to get 72-mile-per-hour wind in Mount Dora tonight. I think the thing's going to go far enough to the east that you don't have that much of a worry tonight.
Okay, great.
Is that all your questions? You done with me?
That's it. We were just wondering what was going on with good old Mount Dora. We love it here.
Well, I really appreciate you calling in on Talk to Tom. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, and thank everybody there for us.
I will. I can't wait. We'll wake Troy up here in a little while. I'm going to tell him you were asking for him. All right. Good night, Nancy. Sleep tight, my love. Bye.
Good night.
All right. Is that it, Karen? We got somebody else to talk to. Somebody else got to transfer to them, though. Let me show you what's going on with that. I mean, she was talking about not getting much wind at all. The problem being that if one of these does start to rotate, all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, you get a tornado warning. But so far, so good for Mount Dora. I think that as the center of the storm goes this way, if it truly does, the way they've got it primed to go way east now, instead of coming right into the heart of downtown Orlando, a lot of folks are going to change. A lot of folks are going to luck out. From Orlando to the northwest, really a different scenario than from Orlando down to the south and east. Okay. Standing by for the next Talk to Tom. I don't know what the number is, but I'd read it off to you. A lot of people, someone hit me. Okay, you're not giving the number because so many people called. Someone hit me up on Twitter like, hey, this is like trying to win tickets on radio in the 80s, man. And I'm like, it's not.
You're our 10th caller.
I didn't really. We got picked up on DirecTV, and so people are bombarding me now from like Middle Tennessee, South Carolina. People are watching on something called Severe Weather on DirecTV. Never heard of it before, but all of a sudden there's my ugly mug, and people are like snipping pictures. I'm like, oh gosh.
There's some lucky people. I think it's funny that people are calling in and upset that you're not talking about them. Of all days,
Right,
you don't
dude.
want us talking about you
If we're not
tonight.
saying your
Right,
name,
dude.
Yeah,
it's
just
great.
sleep soundly, right?
Yeah, go to bed, enjoy it, and have a good time. All right, we're going to go to Ocala. Who's on the Talk to Tom phone? Who is this?
My name is Ed.
Hey, Ed, what's going on up at Ocala tonight, my man?
Oh, right now we got a pretty decent amount of rain coming down. Just wondering, since it changed from the last time we were paying attention to it, what do we have to look forward to here in Ocala now?
Okay, I don't think you're going to have too bad of a night at all unless some rogue feeder band spins a storm your way. Rainfall rates have been kind of on the slow side up here just about all day long today since this thing got to going. You take a look at, can you see the TV right now, Ed? You still have power, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I figured you did because you've had a pretty pleasant day. When I think back to the fact my daughter's up here in Gainesville, UF, we were going to bring her home. Because we were so scared. This is going to drill this way. Yeah. I was scared for Marion County and all the horses. I was like, oh, gosh, oh, man. A Category 3 storm drilling into here will be awful for the entire area. As the model run started to change and everything got hooked up with that stationary front, it did make the hookup. We really thought it would not this week. We thought it'd slow down to a crawl. But the hookup with the front, the stationary front sagging in the backside of this, I think has made all the difference in the world in this storm system. By the way it's shaped now, looks to me like that stationary front is eroding the backside of the system and giving it a little kick on over to the east. That's what it looks like to me based on what I'm seeing here on radar tonight. So up here in Ocala for the rest of the night, unless one of these rogue feeder bands gets to you and sprays out a stray storm, I think you've got a fairly pleasant night. It'll be blustery, to be sure. Wind speeds will be okay. The velocities don't look super impressive to me up there in that zone. We'll click on them, you'll see what's going on with the, yeah, look at that, you know. Seriously?
Okay.
Like 5 to 10 miles per hour? Is that what your wind is right now? Is that what you're experiencing?
Yeah, nothing too major.
Yeah, nothing you can't handle. Yeah. I would think you're going to be good to go. And it's getting later and later and later. So what time is it? Oh, it's 11:30 now. So are you going to bed or are you staying up to watch this thing ride out?
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'll hear about it in the morning.
That's what I figured. Troy will be standing here by the time you get up. Or I may be back. If it really rock and rolls late, I'll come roaring back. Absolutely. But I'm thinking that some of the highest wind is going to go this way through parts of rural Osceola County before making that exit out through some very, very populated parts of Brevard. So we're going to be vigilant, make sure we don't mess this up. Wind speeds of 90 miles per hour are estimated to still be in this storm. And if that's true, that does all kinds of crazy damage. Thank you, Ed, for your call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night, my man.
Good night.
I'm glad Ed's going to get some sleep.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little jealous. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to turn in. See what happens.
Find out in the morning.
All right, guys, so there's the story right now. It looks like this thing has weakened significantly, but not weakened enough to not still be of major concern. People are reporting more and more power outages across the area. When we look at it, we're kind of jaded in the fact that we came in with a big category, almost 5 storm. And here we are, all these hours later. And as we said, Ginger, earlier, that it would be cut almost in half in 9 hours, not 6, because of the water that was under it. It's just about worked out so that by midnight, maybe it will be down to like 75 or 80 miles per hour. Ooh. We just need it to continue to collapse. We really do. And it's doing that, just not fast enough. It's not threatening everyone from Orlando to Kissimmee and all the way over to Rockledge. And in this zone, that new track cutting right through here doesn't change much for the effects for Brevard County, except there may still be hurricane force winds in there by the time the center makes it back to the open water, which is not great. Nobody wants that. So there you go.
We certainly don't. All right, Tom, thank you.
All right, we'll see you in a few. Bye, guys.
All right, we appreciate it, Tom. We'll check back in a bit.
Sure.
Right now, we want to go see Mike DeForest. He is down in the tourist district of I-Drive in Orange County. Mike, you've had quite the interesting time down there. It was easy for you for a while. Now it is crazy out there.
It probably looks crazy, and I'm not going to lie, it ain't no picnic out here, Matt, but it really has not worsened, and dare I say, at least the rain seems to be getting a little bit lighter. The wind gusts seem to be getting a little bit lighter. Tom would know better just from what he's seeing, but looking at the last update there, what is this storm centered more around Yeehaw Junction? That's about 60 miles southeast of where we're standing here along International Drive. And I mean, it was a blessing that storm didn't head right this way and is staying south at least of this area. I know those folks down there are feeling more of the brunt than we are here in the tourist district. But one of the benefits, at least for this area of staying south, is take a look. We still got lights. We still got power. I think many folks were believing that this would not last. And as Tom was just saying, now we could see one of these feeder bands kick up a storm that may cause a little bit of more damage, that would cause these lights to go out and cause the power outage, where we have, I don't even know the numbers of people who are in hotel rooms here along International Drive right now, evacuating from the storm on the West Coast, possibly just here on vacation. But it was looking like it could have been a real uncomfortable night, and we're certainly not out of the woods yet. It is still, the wind is still howling. We're just down a little ways. We took you there live a couple hours ago. Magical Midway, one of those amusement parks that has one of those big slingshot rides with I don't even know how tall the metal towers are up in the air. And you can still even hear from where I'm standing, you can just hear the wind whistling through the metal superstructure. So don't get me wrong, it's still kicking out here. But considering how the storm is now within this vicinity, the heart of the storm, it hasn't worsened here, and that's been really, really good news. I got Darren up on a balcony getting some video here to just give you a little bit different perspective, but I think you can see in the rain, in the lights still, and thank goodness we got lights, just still how this rain is whipping around out here. Haven't really seen any damage. We were out in this same area for forgive me, I'm blanking on all the I names of the hurricanes 5 years ago, and Hurricane Irma. We were in this same area, and I can tell you, we were actually, whoa, I don't know what that was. That made me jump a little bit. Wasn't a transformer. Not sure what that bang was.
Wow, that was scary.
Where was I going with this? Hurricane Irma. Other than whatever the heck just happened over there, we were seeing a lot more damage. Even here on I-Drive, just the wind taking out signs. I mean, not any severe damage, but things are going to get blown around, ripped off buildings and such. And at least where we've been here, we haven't seen that yet. Again, it could still be coming, but I still want to know what that pop was. I don't know if you guys were able to hear that.
Oh, yeah.
We
heard it loud and clear. It didn't sound like lightning. It sounded like almost an explosion.
It did.
Yeah. Can't see where it came from, but everything seems okay right now.
Well, that's good. We heard it loud and clear, as long as you guys are safe and don't see anything unusual out there. So thank you.
And I'll tell you what, we did not, with that, we did not see And I don't know if any of my colleagues who are stationed throughout Central Florida have seen this yet, but we're not seeing that eerie blue light that is very common during these big storms when an electrical transformer blows and the whole sky just lights up in that creepy blue purple color. I remember past hurricanes, of course, the 04 hurricanes, Charlie, Francis, and Jean. Just the whole sky would be lit up every now and then, and you would hear the booms of the electrical equipment going. And we haven't really seen that out here, which again is a testament to the fact that hopefully, fingers crossed, as many people as possible here in Central Florida are maintaining their power, and I know that's not of consolation to the folks that we are hearing right now who don't have their power on. The blessing of that, though, of course, is that the less power that gets knocked out, the quicker those crews that are staging here and on standby can get out to those neighborhoods that really need it, and they're not just swamped by everyone having power out right now. During our last hit out here, when we were down just about a block or so, we could see where all the power trucks were staging behind one of the restaurants here. We assume the workers were actually just chilling out in their trucks. They can't be, there's nothing they can do in this weather right now. They certainly can't be out on the roads. You don't want those trucks getting any trouble. They got to wait for this storm to pass. But at least this area, they're not going to be doing any electrical repair. At least we'll keep our fingers crossed that they won't for a while. But I know that the storm is still moving through Central Florida, and we could still see some issues here.
Yeah, that is the good news, that you guys, there's still power out there, so that's less work for those linemen to do, and they can get to the folks who really need it. Mike DeForest reporting live from I Drive tonight, and I mean, it really looks intense, but he says it hasn't gotten much worse for him.
You know, Mike is a glass half full kind of guy. When we go out there, it looks terrible. He's like, guys, I don't think it's gotten any worse out here. You could tell he's covered some crazy hurricanes.
Exactly.
But doesn't look great, that's for sure. And we're getting some videos in from around the area. I want to give you a little tour of what we're seeing. We've got a video coming here. This is courtesy of Dion Cudjoe. Take a look at that roof. And this is what we're worried about. When everybody wakes up in the morning and looks out at their home, hopefully we don't see a lot of this. You remember after Charlie and Francis and Jean, the blue tarps everywhere, it'll just make you sick. And it's really hard for roofers to keep up with. Neighbor's roof coming apart. This is in Lakeland in Polk County. And these winds over hours and hours, if you've got one of those roofs that's kind of teetering on the edge of like a 15, 20-year roof, this is the night that you worry about, and you just hope that they can make it. And look at this one here. This is in Tampa. Traffic light comes crashing down. Police shared this video of it collapsing in front of their car in Ybor City. This is one of the reasons law enforcement are saying, you know, just stay home and wait this thing out, because their traffic lights are just swinging. They're supposed to be good in hurricane force winds, but we see every single storm.
Yeah, that's why I was worried about where Brian Didlake was earlier. I saw a couple of them swinging. Let's show you some more video. This is video of a boat rescue. This is in Fernandina Harbor, not far from Jacksonville. Now, officials say 2 people had to be pulled off their sailboat tonight. Look at that. Law enforcement reminding everyone not to go out in your boat in these dangerous conditions, because this could be the result. And also, again, you're also putting them in danger. They're trying to help you, but if things go sideways, which it could very easily do in a situation like this one. All right, so let's take you for some more video. This is a Maitland fire. They're sharing this video of sparks flying from power lines, and this is the danger that we see with these kinds of storms. McGregor Way, this is near McIntosh Way, and boy, that is really sparking up. And I can't tell if those are just the embers of the sparks or if it's a fire there, but it's, you know, there's a lot of rain in the area, so hopefully, look at that.
Yeah.
That is
really wild. Looks like it might be next to a fence. You never know when those can spark up. Fortunately, it's raining a lot.
So we just remind everybody to just stay safe and be careful out there.
Yeah, here's a look at our city. This is our Orlando health camera. As you look at downtown Orlando, the lens is all soggy and mushy, just like the soil on the ground. But I'm not seeing a lot of shaking there. If we move to the DOT camera, this is the 417 in that Lake Jessup area. It's up there, Seminole County. Ton of gators swimming around under that. That is what the roads are looking like. Fortunately, not seeing a ton of ponding on there. It's draining pretty well tonight.
Okay, and this is our camera from Port Canaveral again tonight, and every time we see it, we just see those trees in the foreground. It's a little harder to see them now, but you can tell that they are getting just whipped around by some really good winds out there, and by good, I mean strong.
By good, you mean bad.
Correct, correct. And this is our beach cam where we can just use our imagination because the winds, you can still see some of the waves coming ashore right there, and you don't see anyone on the beach, but that's been the story all day long. Thank goodness people have been heeding the warning and staying home and just watching it from
Just a
afar.
stunning day. Tom Sorrells has been tracking this storm ever since it was just a little bubble in the ocean, it seems like.
I don't know, was it ever just a little thing?
It was. At one point, I remember him showing the radar. We couldn't even, he's like, you can't even see it on the radar. There was just basically lines. And now it is this thing encompassing our state all the way from where Eric Von Aken is to up at Amelia Island at the very tip top of Florida, rocking things out there. Tom, it's just been a crazy day.
It really has.
It's been a weird storm all the way around and continues to impress and be weird. Maximum sustained wind as of 11 o'clock down to 90 miles per hour. Wind gusting to about $115, pressures 972 millibars. You can tell right now that you can't really see an eye, and it looks to me like it's becoming a right-handed or top-handed storm. I really harken back to what happened with Irma when all the big rain shot north. I think that's what's going to happen with this. Wherever the center of rotation is, we can't find it on radar or satellite. I think it's going to rip and go and put all the big moisture up to the north and out to the east during the next several hours. So in this zone right here, I'm worried now more about the folks in Osceola and Brevard counties than anywhere else. We'll look at that a little bit more as time goes on. Time to do another Talk to Tom. Standing by now on the Talk to Tom hotline is my friend, what's your name, Mike or Mark?
Mark.
Mark. Mark, they're telling me you're calling from like South Dakota.
My brother lives down there in Lakeland with his family. So we've been tracking the storm pretty much all day. And sorry.
Okay, how did you find us from South Dakota?
Been watching on Severe Storm Center.
Okay.
I remember on there, and
I think maybe that just boosted my career, something crazy. I don't know, I keep getting weird stuff. But hey, so your brother's in Lakeland.
Yeah, he's in Lakeland. I haven't seen anything on Lakeland, just on Polk County, but it's all been southern. And I know he's survived quite a few hurricanes, but this one, I've been watching that rotation and the way it's moving. It's kind of moving away from him, but then again, there's that backside that keeps coming around, and it's kind of worrying me, and I can't figure out.
I think he's going to do okay, man. So he's in Lakeland proper, and you say, how many years has he been down here?
He's been down there, probably 30 years.
Okay, so he survived Hurricane Charlie that came through Polk County as well. Back in '04, we had 3 different hurricanes in 44 days come through here. Charlie came in this way, Francis and Jean came in this way, and decimated a lot of the area. So if he survived those 3, I think he's probably going to do okay in the same structure tonight. But right now you see the rain going on and all the activity. I'm going to change this around to velocities. Here's the problem. If you go to the Tampa Bay radar, which is where we are throwing the velocities here, you see these bright colors? There's a lot of high wind whipping around. The Hurricane Center says there's 90-mile-per-hour wind still sustained in there. And my guess is some of this stuff is aloft and not making it to the ground. But you're going to see, look, 69-mile-per-hour wind there, 78 there. All these bright colors lead me to think some of that high wind is going to make it to the surface. Probably really strong tropical storm force winds, if not Category 1 hurricane force winds, going through Polk County from Lakeland down to Lakeland Highlands, down to Bartow. Bartow seems to be a little bit calmer. Yeah, the wind speeds down there have really crashed on out. But look at Lake Wales. On the top side of Lake Wales, almost a 70-mile-per-hour wind, and approaching Kissimmee. Really strong wind happening right now, and it's almost midnight at the Oasis here. So we're talking about a situation where, unless he's getting struck by a rogue storm, I think the straight push of the wind is going to do him right. He's going to be okay and make it through the night more likely than not. Now, he may end up with a lot of what we call canopy damage. There may be some falling trees going on out there, and he may not have power. So if you're not able to reach him, it may be because he's in some zone where he doesn't have power, or he might have gotten really smart and left town.
Well, no, he didn't leave town. I talked to him. He said he was in town, and he was staying at home, and then I looked on the power grid, and there's a whole bunch of power outages
Yep.
in Lakeland. So
It's starting to happen for a lot of people. You just saw that 70-mile-per-hour wind loft. That's getting to the surface. It's going to rip the trees, rip the power. Maybe I'm assuming he's on a cell phone.
yeah, he does, but I'm sure he's going to save it because I've taught him. He better do the survival stuff. Save what you need.
Very true. Now, where are you in South Dakota?
I'm in a little town called Bonesteel, about 12 miles north of Nebraska, right in the middle.
Dude. Wow. Thank you for calling.
I always watch the storms and always keep on tap with what's going on with him.
Well, that's amazing. We appreciate the call from South Dakota. I got to admit, I think this is the first time that we've done calls on Talk to Tom from out of state.
I think
South Dakota.
that officially makes us a national show. We've made it.
Can syndication
I hear
be
a warning
far
going on.
behind?
Let me see, make sure I don't. Bear with me here. Don't leave me. Hey, thank you for calling from South Dakota. Love you.
That's great.
Much love to your brother.
Yeah.
What you got?
Hold on. Okay, let me see. No warning?
Oh,
okay, good.
okay.
Here's the deal. It was just a reissue of the tropical storm warnings for everyone. So when I hear that buzzer go off,
Yeah.
I spring into action. Okay, let's talk to who else is out there on the Talk to Tom hotline. Who are we speaking to? Oh, Ed in Ocala. Didn't we talk to Ed? No.
A local.
Who is it? Dennis. Okay, yeah, we did Ed in Ocala. We're talking to Dennis in the forest. Dennis, I've got to believe you've got an easy time of it tonight. Dennis, are you there?
It's a whipping. Yes, sir.
All right, Dennis, this is Tom Sorrells from WKMG News 6. How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Doing very well.
Yeah, it's whipping pretty good. I just, every now and then you'll get one that runs straight down 40, but yeah, it's doing its thing. But my I didn't know. I never get to see what's going on because every time it's always something. It's always for Ocala out there in the airport and stuff. So that's my biggest question.
Right.
We always see everything for Ocala, but we getting it. It's a whipping out here.
No, I'm trying to find the area that says National Forest. You're east, correct? You're east of Ocala?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm 5 miles west of the bombing range.
Okay, so yes, you're out east of Ocala and away from the bombing range. Okay, so there
Yes,
we go.
sir.
There's Reddick and Micanopy, and there's Ocala. And so you see this stuff coming in. It's all going to be coming your way. And I don't think it's going to be cranking back down to the south enough to endanger you with any tornado warnings or watches.
I'm out in the forest. I'm out in the forest, so is where I'm at.
Okay. We have a flash flood warning for Orange and Osceola counties until 2:45. This copious amounts of rain have just been nuts down here today, Dennis. You wouldn't believe how much rain we've picked up in the last. I've been on since 2 p.m. and it has rained incessantly.
We've been watching you all that time.
Oh, have you really? Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
It used to be back in the day when I was a kid. It was always Dave Marsh, but there's only a handful that you get to watch, and I can honestly say you're one of them. So
thank you, brother. When I came here, they told me he would be my competition forever. So you got to figure out a way to beat him. I just hung on longer.
Retired. That's all.
I just hung on longer. That's all. I just hung on.
That's all you got to do. You survive. You just got to survive the retirement. That's all you got to do.
Well, he retired. Dave's done well. He's done very well. He has. So God bless him.
Yeah.
Wherever he is.
Yeah.
Last time I saw, he was like tour guide over at the Space Center. He was having a great time. Hey, man, sure, dude. If they ever kick me off there, that's what I'm going to do. Take a look at the Ocala area right here. You're east of there, so more rain is coming your way.
So we're getting majority of the squalls probably straight east of Daytona, right along
watch these peel around towards you there. You'll see them coming in. Let me put that in motion. Come on, baby, work for me. There you go. All this stuff coming on up, rolling on in. We'll make it to you. It will, but I don't think it's going to twist around and have enough that it will cause many in the way of those tornado warnings that we were getting earlier.
I can tell you right now, I was sweating bullets way early in this. I was like, man, this is.
It didn't look good for you.
48, and I've never. It rarely did it ever come this way until 04 was the worst. 04 was like chaos.
It was chaos.
Yeah,
we learned a lot.
Now, you don't think it'll do like a Charlie and go out and spin back around and puke back at us?
That was Gene. That was Gene that did that.
Yeah.
That was Gene that came through and did nothing and shot way out and came back and bam, hit us on the rebound in a big way. No, I don't think it will. I think we're going to be fine. It looks like the steering currents are going to drill it back into Georgia and South Carolina by Friday. So it gets away from us tomorrow up to here and gets picked up and slammed back.
I got family that lives in Charleston. You don't think it might pick up once it gets out in the open water?
I think it could be a Category 1. I don't think it's going to rapidly intensify again. It's going to be moving too fast by that time forward. It's going to be sucked up in the Bear Clinic zone there and rushed. And so it's going to be moving at a fast pace where it's almost stumbling, running itself. Won't be able to stand straight up and stack up and be strong. Is what I think is going to happen.
All right, man.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it. And
have a good night, and I appreciate you calling. What's that?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. I said stack up on the Monster drinks now.
You know what? I've not hit a single one. I'm done all right. How about Candace here?
Hey,
not
you
had a
better
single
not be. I'd have been 5 hours and I'd have been coffee and I'd been whatever, you know.
Well,
I've been
you know,
all wired.
It's still early yet. It's a long train out of Eden for me to make it to Thursday night, so I got to hang on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you, buddy.
You're
Have a good night.
Zombie right now. Appreciate it, sir.
Take care, man. Bye-bye. All right. Ken, my producer, do we have somebody else to talk to, or are we done for now? All right, gentlemen and ladies, we are done for now. Just want to show you what's going on with radar, Daytona Beach to Edgewater to Titusville. Flooding is going to be the major concern, and then the high wind is going to be the major concern as these winds come in through Osceola County and cruise over to the east side of Orlando towards you there in the Brevard-Volusia County line. We're going to be here through the night tonight. We're not going anywhere fast. It is almost midnight. So hold on. Let me advance this and see if we have a midnight update.
We
do not.
Update?
11 o'clock advisory. We should get, a top of the hour advisory just any minute now. We'll jump back on if it changes, but right now wind speeds are 90. I don't know if they can change it a whole lot till this thing gets to some reporting stations and we can figure out what's what. But as you look at this enhanced satellite, you can tell part of that eye wall shield is ripping off. See that? See how some of this is blowing this way and going straight out rather than wrapping around? We talked about that earlier. I really think it's got that look to where this is going to rip apart from the top, and it's going to be more of a right-handed top storm with a bunch of rain going up the East Coast. That's what I think is about to happen. All right, let's toss it back over. Are we going Candace, or are we going back to the anchors? Candace Campos is standing by right now with our watches and our warnings. And Candace, we've had so much stinking rain.
Torrential rain in so many parts of Central Florida. And the latest model did show that surge of moisture, of course, going across our northern zones, and you can see why. So as of now, everyone here highlighted in that bright neon green is under a flood warning until 5:30 in the morning on Thursday. And then now we have a flash flood warning. Basically what this means is the National Weather Service is just expecting to be just inundated here with rainfall. So, by the way, we've received between about 6 and 10 inches of rainfall already in these areas here of Orlando, just right up to the Seminole County borderline, out towards Brevard County, and just a little bit over into northern Osceola County. They're expecting additional 4 to 6 inches between now and about 2:45 in the morning. So again, this is where we start talking about that dangerous flooding where things can happen very quickly in a very short amount of time when we start talking about the torrential rain that is expected within the next few hours throughout the overnight and into early tomorrow morning. All right, so let's look at the expected rainfall. Of course, this is on top of what we've already seen. This is our GFS model showing between 8, some areas showing about 20. And of course, because we're talking about that kind of that push that Tom was just talking about, where the tops are kind of being shoved to the north, this is certainly a possibility. Sanford's forecast of possibly 20+ inches of rainfall is very different than what Melbourne could see throughout the overnight hours because of that surge of that tropical moisture more for the northern zones. How about the European model? Just kind of like to give you a couple of different views of the different models here. You can see showing between 9, 10, even 12, 15 inches of rainfall, but also showing more of that heavy rain across areas of Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach. Not as much for the Villages and Leesburg, still plenty of rain, but really you're going to see kind of that surge. So I'm wondering, Tom, if some of that modeling is picking up some of that kind of when you were talking about the tops kind of being blown over and into this area. I mean, modeling is kind of showing that too.
Yeah.
So, of course, flood advisories certainly will be a possibility. So let's talk more about that Hurricane Ian timeline. Just remaining indoors is not the time to go outside and check out to see what branches and get your video. If you're going to get your video, just do it from the inside. The strongest winds will be basically from now through Thursday morning. So 9 a.m. by about noon, we will start seeing things slightly improve, and it's going to be gradual, but staying alert overnight as a tornadic activity still is possible in the forecast. Look at some of the wind gusts already at this hour. 67-mile-per-hour winds in areas of Melbourne, 51 in Leesburg. So even though you're not right there across the center of Hurricane Ian, which by the way is still a Cat 1 hurricane, we are still clocking some significant wind speeds out there. How about right now? It's a colorful graphic that shows some big-time numbers here. 36-mile-per-hour winds there in Daytona Beach, 40 in Cocoa Beach, 25 in Orlando, 25. That's sustained. When you factor in the wind gusts, 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts there in Cocoa Beach, 43 for you guys in Sanford. Even Leesburg, look at you guys. You're finally clocking in a little higher than about that 20 to 30 range. You're up to 44-mile-per-hour wind gusts there and in Kissimmee. But you can see the little streamlines. The little lines there that are kind of swirling, the center is still to the south. So, of course, as it moves further north, things will, of course, fluctuate, and, of course, conditions will continue to deteriorate. Hurricane Ian's rain totals, I've been showing this just to show you how impressive the rain totals have been. It's been primarily a southern Brevard, northern Brevard kind of morning when it comes to who was really seeing a lot of the rain this morning, but this is going to all kind of switch over as now you saw a bunch of those flood watches and warnings now in effect, a flash warning in effect for Orange, and a flood warning for the majority of Central Florida. So the moral of the story is a lot more wind, a lot more rain in the next few hours. So just stay tuned, stay inside, stay prepared, and stay alert, because that is something, it's midnight, guys. So a lot of people are getting tired. I get it. But making sure that you have your cell phones charged up on loud, making sure you have those alerts. That way, if you are under a tornado warning, you will be woken up, and that way you can, of course, stay safe. You and your family can stay safe. All right, we're going to toss it back to the desk now.
Yeah, speaking of tired, Matt Austin is taking a quick break.
Good. A well-deserved break.
We are in good hands. Jamie Say is joining us on the desk now for a couple of hours. Thank you for coming back. We are still taking a tour around the area to survey any of what Ian is doing right now.